Hello everyone, I'm Aiden, and I like to build things, and today I actually want to try building something on camera, so I think no better place to start than the first ever Master Grade, released all the way back in 1995, and I do believe I have a very early edition copy of this kit here, so my hope for today's video is to show what the unboxing experience was like, as well as what the building experience was like for our first ever Master Grade here. So, just taking a quick peek at the box here, you see it does show the, full open hatch mode that this kit does, which didn't get properly achieved until the perfect grade and then the 1.5, but it shows that it comes with a core fighter. Lovely misspelling of the core block there, calling it the core Brock. Love that typo. Shield, the hyper bazooka, beam rifle, and the heavy user parts, which some of the first Master Grades came with, but they stopped doing pretty quickly. Essentially pieces that you need glue to apply to the kit. And then on the other side, we have just some pictures of what the kit has in store for its details, showing off how you can open the head, the arms, the legs for the open hatch mode. You also show the foil sticker as well as the grill detail that comes with the inside of the chest vents, and then how you can take the panel off of the jetpack, the different hands it comes with, and then another thing that early Master Grades did was they had printing on some of the pieces. In this case, you get it on the shoulders. That all sounds pretty snazzy, even for some modern kits, like the pre-printed stuff. You only really see that on 30-Minute Sisters kits and the like. So, with that being said, let me open up this antique here. Ah, yes, gotta love the classic insert card with the fully painted view of the kit, which protects all of the lovely goodies inside. Nothing printed on the back side. And we have a few bags to get into here. And at the very bottom we do have the accompanying back view of the kit itself, and then the obviously the manual back when they were still doing this weird stone texture off to the sides, and then a side profile view of the mech in question. Lovely concept art showing a what the full hatch gimmick was supposed to be, but this kit wasn't able to really achieve. Lovely 90s CG, and then just some gorgeous, sadly uncredited illustrations of the Gundam. Middle pages as per usual, showing off scenes from the anime, even showing off the G3 Gundam there, which I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. I do wonder if the Zaku and the Gelgoog they're showing here are the future Master Grades that they inevitably released of those, or if those are something else entirely. And then, yeah, making sure I didn't miss anything here. Yep, just a couple more illustrations showing off mechanical workings. Then a little bit about the core fighter, core block system, and the weapons. Yeah, okay, set these off to the side here. I'm just going to leave this here for now. Before I dig in, I did want to point out, I did open this earlier. Obviously, I haven't taken anything out of the bags, but one thing that shows how vintage this kit is that these bags are all stapled shut rather than heat sealed, so that is certainly unique. So that's another reason why I wanted to open these on camera for all of you folks. Of course, with how old this plastic inevitably is, that was not very hard to tear. Slowly creep this stuff out. So this is what the very bottom runner in the box was. We have runner... where's the letter on here? Am I looking at the wrong side? C. Yeah, way back before they started doing the cutaways for runner numbers or letters. But yeah, we got the parts for the core block, the backpack, some of the inner frame, and obviously the weapons. I don't know if it's just because of the age of this plastic or what, but it has this nice brownish hue to it, which I don't know if that's coming across on camera, but certainly very interesting there. And then I'm just gonna pull this off here. Look at the date stamp. Looks like this is not an original print of this. This is according to the date stamp here, which hopefully that's in focus enough for you folks. It says from 97, March of 97. So this is obviously not a new printing, but it's not an original 1995 print, which is why it's interesting that the bags are stapled, because I built the 1.0 Master Grade Zeta Gundam, and that had vacuum sealed bags, and that was a original print from 96, I want to say. So I don't know why this is stapled shut, but anyways, back to more lovely little staples. Here we have, this isn't polycap material, it is polystyrene, but it's like a little runner showing the optional hands. Not quite sure what that would be. That's the handle for the shield, which I'm noticing a bit of flash on, which doesn't surprise me considering the age of this kit, but also I'm seeing fingers, just the front landing gear for the core fighter. Interesting. This is also runner F. Here we have runner B1 with a lot of our white parts showing things like the shield, the skirt, the what is that? The ankle armor, shoulders, beam sabers, and our pilot figures there, looking as generic as ever because, I don't know, they weren't molding specific ones at the time. Okay, our multicolor runner for the kit is runner E, with our yellow for the cross on the shield, crotch V, sensor for the gun, the neck collar, our clear parts, cockpit, shield, head camera, eyes, core fighter parts, chest parts with some nice panel line detail on there. Beam sabers don't have their own runner at this point in time. They were molded as part of this runner, so keep that there. And then we have our polycaps looking pretty standard fare here. Nothing too crazy there. And I will say I will talk about the decals at a later point. I just want to get through all of the runners first, and then I'll discuss those while I get these staples off of my desk. These ones require a little bit more coaxing, apparently. Okay, got another polycap type material here for the blade antenna and a couple of extra joint pieces with some more flash that I'm noticing there. More decals, all of our red parts, which are very bright red. With all the lights I have shining at the at my desk right now, these are kind of blinding to me. Lovely detail for the bottom sides of the feet. You got the wings, more core fighter parts, the chin, shield, yeah. Last bag to open here. Okay, it was just that one bag that wanted to be difficult while opening for some reason. Okay, last bit of decals, and as I mentioned before, pre-printed elements, which just have the UNT Spacey and the Pegasus logo, looking pretty darn snazzy there. And they're in a separate bag to protect their print. And then the rest of our white parts for the legs, feet, torso, and all of our heavy user parts here, things like anchor points, handlebars, and vents, which go on various places throughout the kit here. The detail for these is actually on the underside of the mold. And then, yeah, head stuff, and then the separate V-fin and hard plastic that you need to paint the red for the crest. Setting that aside, in here we have the dry transfer decals and the grill pieces used for just a bit of extra detail underneath those chest vents like it said on the box, and you do get duplicates of the decals for the shoulders. You also get options to make this the G3 Gundam if you wanted to, which I find very fascinating because that did end up getting a master grade using this mold a couple years after this came out, so... But I guess they weren't sure if they wanted to make it at the time. They give you the option if you want to go paint it. Otherwise, you get sticker style decals, which it's interesting that the eye sticker is not a foil sticker in this sense. It is just part of the rest of these here with some Federation logos, warning signs, You can do RX-78-2, 3, and 1 if you want to, and then another UNT spacey. Yeah. These, if I remember correctly, are just meant to add more surface detail to the kit, like faux panel lines, slight different color variation. I don't know how good the adhesive on these is. I don't know how good the adhesive is going to be on any of this, considering how old this has been in this, how long this has been in this box. So that'll be an experiment for not while I'm on video here. But lastly, we have this blindingly shiny set of foil stickers that actually have a bit of texture to them. Let me see if that comes up. I don't know if you were able to hear that. I was running my nail across the blank spot at the bottom here, which I just realized is actually the top. I was holding that upside down. But for inside the chest vents and a couple other places, I know they're in the backpack and in the legs in a few places, but just some grill details that are also stickers just to add a bit of pop, kind of like what real grades would actually end up doing, funny enough. But yeah, so my aim for the rest of this video now is to assemble this honestly very basic kit for you all here. I'll talk about my thoughts on the process as I go along, and then give you a first impressions, I guess you could call it, once the kit is fully assembled here. So, that being said, I should get my everything all in order here. So set this here so y'all can see while I do this. Just barely fits in there. I wonder why it has a runner B1 but no B2. Or wait, B2 is the one with the tampo printing on it or whatever it's called. And then this one was C. So only 5 full-size runners. Kind of fascinating how that's enough to make, I mean, a master grade at this point, right? Put you off to the side there. Keep this stuff handy for when I need it later. Poly caps go down here, and I guess you can go on here as well, runner F. Like so, just to keep you nice and organized. Gonna get my replacement for my God hand. I'm now using a steady single-bladed cutter because my God hand is starting to wear out. I've had it for a couple years now. It was only a matter of time. Move this out of the way, crack out my bulk cutters here, just my Tamiya basic tool set cutters here. And then for most of the nub cleanup, I'm just going to keep it real simple and just stick to using a razor, my gun primer razor, that's what it was called, yeah. So you all are going to go here for safekeeping. Let me crack open our lovely manual here. And what does it want us to start building? Okay, so you start with sub-assemblies over here that translate to these things here. We start with the head and then the hands, interestingly enough. So I am just gonna dive right into that. I don't know if my microphone is picking that up, but my neighbors are yelling like they love to do in my apartment. Don't know what's going on over there, nor is it any of my business. Huh, that fit very tight. Not a good sign. Okay, what direction do you face? That way? Interesting. So this clear piece is what's holding these two top halves of the Gundam's head together for the most part. So that is a clear piece up there, but the rear camera is just a molded part of the head itself. Interesting stuff. Dealing with one of the smaller parts on this kit here, gonna be extra careful. Okay, and since these parts are so soft, I just use the single-bladed cutters for these. Not too precious about that. Haven't decided what exactly my full plans are for painting this as of yet, but I do believe I'll be using the solid plastic V-fin with the crest painted red when I get to that point. I don't know if my plastic is changing color due to age, and I also don't know if this is going to come across on camera much, if at all. The white of the V-fin being made out of the polycap material is a slightly different color compared to the polystyrene that the rest of this is made out of, and the polystyrene seems to be yellowing slightly, which is interesting because I would have thought that only happens in sunlight. Okay, let's get the head fully assembled here. Before I get this fully assembled, just want to take a moment to appreciate the part that's going to inevitably become the inner frame of the head here. Looking really nice and detailed here. So how does this go together? Also interesting to me how the inner frame of the head is going to actually have like eyes for behind the clear eyes. Is an interesting touch there. Oh, and then you go in. So I don't know if that's coming across well on camera, but the behind the clear part is an extra set of plastic, like gray plastic eyes, which is an interesting detail that wasn't really expecting here. Pardon me for taking it off camera. The faceplate does not want to line up, and I'm trying not to break anything. Before I put the head cap on, very interesting just kind of aesthetic here where you have the implications of the inner frame as illustrated in the manual here, although you don't get the full detail of like the machine guns, but you get the basic sense of what is supposed to be inside of this head, to which you then pop this down like that. And yeah, very oddly chunky head compared to what you'd be used to seeing from a RX-78, and it's because of the shape of it and the way that this top part rests on it, it makes the eyes look weirdly wide, like vertically, like the eyes are like kind of wide, so that's very interesting. Set you aside while we move on to our next step here. Good Lord. Almost lost that. Okay, so you go here, then you go on top, and then thumb slides up into this piece like so, and all gets squished together. Unfortunate side effect of this construction means there is a seam line and some pretty awkward nub placement on the back of the posable hands. That'll be interesting to remedy that. But yeah, your pretty standard old master grade 3-1 and then the thumb, although with how fresh mine is, these are fairly sturdy. I'll be curious to see how well that holds the beam rifle once I have that assembled. Now I need to build the other hand, which will probably just be a jump cut for you folks. For me, it'll be actually putting it together. Okay. And just like that, another hand done. Now we have the pre-posed hands. Really getting the jumping bean pieces today. And just like that, I kind of by accident did the right splayed and the left closed. The splayed hand being pretty pathetic looking, not super useful for much. Fist, nice, since those opposable hands can't do fists very good. And then just like those, I'm just going to quickly do the other set of hands. Alrighty, there we go. Those all together. Off with the rest of them. On to... Okay, we have to do more sub-assemblies here for the arms, and then the arms themselves. Very peculiar way of doing the instructions here. I'm glad they didn't really keep this style going forward here. Okay, this little flower-shaped piece does have a specific orientation. This doesn't matter as much. Pop that all together, and we have the makings of one upper arm there. Now to do the second one. Okay, second upper arm done. Now the elbow is its own separate assembly there. Make sure that's facing the right way, and then lock it into place. All right, set that aside. I'll save the big assembly dramatic reveal for the end here. There we go, put you two together. And then we have the panels for the opening arms and then the lower arms. These parts are literally just the same number, so I'm just gonna do it like this. There's the snap. A nice little snap there. Okay, and then the lower arms. Slide onto this piece. Almost have the arms here, just need to do the opposite side. Awesome. Okay, now the last unique piece I need to get is the inner piece for the faux inner frame of the arms here, which is just another, both parts are the same number, don't gotta worry about which side is which. Let's get some arms assembled here. So this, if I can hold it, good lord, this goes in first. Well, that's quite the snap to get that in there. And then this pops in to cover it. And then elbow goes to upper arm. And then, this is the right one. I'll just do the fists for now. Right arm assembled with the opening hatch, which doesn't seem to open all the way, although I'm afraid of stressing that, so I'm just being careful there. Otherwise, yep, 90-degree bend, even though there is technically 2 hinges that make that bend possible. You can bend it backwards if you want to. And then you have rotation down here, and then that'll be the shoulder joints. So do the same thing for the other side here. Okay, got a nice pair of arms here. And then it looks like their shoulder covers come next here. So I'll get this at the ready while I get the rest of these parts out. Interesting, it's the softer, like not quite polycap, not quite polystyrene plastic that makes up this connection from the shoulder to the body. Let's crack open our true and proper last bag here, held together with one lone staple. Ow! Man, that staple is sharp. Pricked myself just enough that I'm bleeding just a teeny tiny little bit. I suppose I need to get up and get this treated here pretty quickly. Okay, now that I am no longer at risk of bleeding all over this white plastic, take a brief moment here to appreciate the tampo printing, or whatever you want to call this, for these parts here. Looking still nice and crisp despite the age of this kit. And I will be doing everything I can to preserve that for the time being, although I do feel if I end up doing full paint on this, this will end up being covered and replaced with something else. But like I said, not too terribly sure what plans I have for this going forward. I will say one thing that's really impressing me so far with this kit is that the plastic doesn't leave that much in the way of visible nub marks. We'll also point out there is actually a little bit of inner detail on the inside of these shoulders here, which is a nice touch, even if it's going to be predominantly covered by the arm part that goes inside. All right, and then there we have our shoulder pieces here. If they can get them to stay facing you folks. Yeah, I can't really attach these to the arms as of yet because they need the shoulder joints to be able to do that. So I am going to brush all this to the side here. Those are some historical nubs right there. Those are going to be going into my Haro mug jar, or nub jar, with pride. Historical nubs. Okay. And it looks like next steps are the legs, and then we do the torso. So let's move on to the legs. make sure that's facing the right way. Goodness. Where did that other polycap go? There it is. Okay, polycaps all in place. Time to lock them all together. That went together pretty smoothly. Now to do that, oh, I guess you're over there now. Now to do that a second time. Okay, another leg done. With the hollow part in the back, gonna inevitably be for the faux inner frame pieces there. Moving on next to the foot. Finally cracking out more of the red runner here. Very big foot here, which, as you could no doubt see by the way it's built, doesn't do a whole lot other than the ball joint, what the ball joint here allows it to, and you do get a fair bit of mechanical detail in there, although evidently you need to paint that, but it is nice that they have something there to give you the option. This foot does not want to go together all the way. That's as far as I'm able to get it. Did the other one do that? No. Just some fitting problems, I guess, because of how old this kit is. I'm going to leave that be for now. Don't want to risk breaking anything. The next set of sub-assemblies here are for the torso, so let's just move on to the legs themselves. Interesting how they didn't put the thighs over here. I don't know. Interesting how this piece that's purely here for connecting the thigh and calf together is two pieces. I would have thought a piece like this would just be one, but I guess it was too thick for the runner or the molding process. I have no idea. Okay, and then it calls for two of those to be built, so let's do the second one. Okay, and for the construction of this leg, I'm going to do it a little differently than the last one since I had some issues with this polycap not quite lining up in there. So I'm going to put you in like that first, then pop that in there, which should mean everything here lines up way better. Yeah, like a glove. Okay, now to finish off the calves here, we have to do their inner frame, the panels, or the front and back panels that we're missing. So I'll start there. Oh, come on now. Lots of symmetrical stuff here makes that very straightforward. So I'll just take a random leg here, have this completely do that. Interesting how there's no molded detail on this inner part here. I can't get that off, so I'll use this as an example. These are the vents for the shin piece here. They have no molded detail on them. That is entirely covered by the foil stickers that I showed you before. That's where that detail will end up coming from. Pop the inner frame in there, and then you have the opening panel for the back of the leg, which it seems it only opens about that far, unless I have this built wrong. Nope, I have it built correctly. That's just all the farther that seems to open. Let's do the other leg again. Oh, I did build that wrong. It's supposed to open all the way like that. Why are you not doing that? Okay, this one might just be another case of fitting issues. I can't get that to line up so that it opens like that one does. I mean, otherwise, that part's done. Let's just start getting this all put together here. And then, before we can really call the legs done, gotta get the ankle armor in place. So I'll set these to the side while I get the ankle armor cut out here. Okay, and then wrap this around the ankle, building up very similarly. Oh, as I was trying to say, this whole assembly here is pretty much exactly the same as the original high-grade Universal Century version of the RX-78, which I guess makes sense. This isn't a completely awful way of doing this part of the body. Okay, now can do the other one. It even hides its seam line fairly well, making it seem like it's just a part of the construction there. So is this the one? I'll show it off on the other one. Like I showed before, panel on the back opens up. You could pretend that that's like what the mechs and Elgheim do, and those are thrusters, but more than likely it's just a maintenance hatch like the rest of them, as you would expect. The 90-degree bend here at the knee, even though like the arm, that is two joints that make that bend possible, and most of it comes from the top one, it seems, and then it's the bottom one that kind of leaves a lot to be desired there. Yeah, and then very little here at the ankle. So very simplistic here. Let's start getting the central components of this all assembled here. So it looks like we start with what could best be described as the chest inner frame here. Okay, let's see how well the blue parts clean up here. And that's about what you would expect, honestly, from a color this dark. Doesn't matter really what plastic it's made out of. And as you can see, a glass file doesn't fix all of your problems, but it does make these nubs far less noticeable. This lone gray piece is the extent of the inner frame of the chest here, which is just kind of fascinating to see. It's just this little bit to give you everything that you need for the bare essentials here. Okay, I was not supposed to put that part in first. Miraculously did not break anything trying to disassemble that. Red piece goes in first and then the gray piece. Okay, got a chest going here. Gotta love it when they start getting the wavy lines with the arrows here. It looks like you need to put these pieces into here and then that polycap as well, and then you put the rest of it together. So okay, and just to make the nub cleaning process as easy as possible, this is going to be largely done with the gun primer razor here. Leave a bit of the nub, sand it down, and you get barely any mark left behind. In case you didn't already know, that's going to require tweezers to go in there. Do not have that dexterous of hands. There it is. That's going to be the polycap for our cockpit hatch. And just like that, we really start having a chest together here now. Take just a moment to appreciate the chest vents there, their inner detail. That's where another one of those foil stickers goes, and then you put the metal grate on top of that, but I won't be doing that here, keeping things pretty simple for this showcase here. Leaving this here so that I make sure I get the left and right vents correct. I don't want to risk damaging anything here. And I do believe they are specific to the left or to the right. Pop you in first. Okay. And then this should be the left side one. Fits in there pretty good. Put the collar on top because I might as well. Okay, and now I'll get the other vent out. Okay, and then this is the right one. So that detail very obviously gets hidden once you have this all assembled, although you can partially see through these vents. But yeah, so no movement out of the shoulders, nothing additional from the neck, and then obviously the inner bit is hollow to make way for the core block system. I won't be doing any major assemblies yet. I'm going to be very strictly adhering to how the instructions lay it out here, just for sake of demonstration. So next part we have is the waist unit here. Almost forgot about the sub-assemblies over here. I should probably start with those first, since that's how I've been doing it so far. And here we have what is, I'm pretty sure, the smallest piece on the whole kit right here. The little V for that detail on the groin. And it looks like, due to the way this is assembled, it does not feature any sort of opening hatch here like the RX-78 did in the anime, so no cooling vent and no Gundam blanket, whichever version of the continuity you prefer. Okay, subassembly's done. Now let's do the actual bulk of this here. Curved part goes on the inside. Okay, so I'll do the front first, then the back. So it looks like this goes in like so. Side skirts into the poly cap. And then the front piece to help hold it all together. Okay, got the first bits of the Gundam diaper taken care of here. Okay, poly cap goes in first. Doesn't look like it has a specific direction. Wait, no, doesn't go like that. It goes like this into here, hooks in down there. Make sure that it's in there straight. There we go. And then this whole assembly comes in like this. This clips onto this bar here, like so. And then this goes into that poly cap down there. If I can get it to line up right. So when you have it all assembled, you fold that piece out there to get a place to store the bazooka when not being held. And then it just closes back up, and now I just got to get the yellow pieces on there, and we'll be done with this page. Okay, last two pieces here. Okay, and then actually the true last piece for this segment here is this big piece on the soft F runner here. Oh, missed a nub. Which this is essentially the tray that the core fighter will sit in, which it looks like it has to face this way with the arrow in the front. Put that down in there, and that right there makes up your waist swivel on this kit. That is it right there. Alright, get the nub mess off the paper here. Add it to the historic nub pile. And what is our next set of steps here? Interesting. Core fighter, core block. And then the weapons. And then it looks like on the very last page here is where you actually put the entire thing together. So, strictly adhering to my contrived rule set here, I will be doing this first. So we do a subassembly of a subassembly, and then we put the whole core fighter together. So I didn't lose that piece. There it is right there. Probably the second smallest part on the whole kit is that inner bit for the cockpit there. Okay, before I commit to locking this up inside of the assembly here, I want to take a moment to say that there is no pilot molded into the cockpit here. It's just the seat itself. So, kind of interesting. They didn't even attempt to put a pilot in here, because I guess it would have been too blobular. So if you want the Gundam to appear to have a pilot, you kind of have to put the core block in there, since that's where the pilot is. Okay, we have the nose of the core fighter all ready to go. Now we just have to get to the rest of it. That goes like so. Fold the wings out. I wonder. Very odd choice to say put that in here now, because that part is what actually holds it in place. The gap in that nub is so small, I literally have to do this. Or gate, not nub. You know what I meant. Okay, let's lock this all together here. There we go. We have our core fighter here, looking nice and proper, missing just the gray for the vents and a bit on the nose. Obviously does the full transformation, except you do need to remove the tail stabilizer for it to fit. Otherwise, yeah, pretty similar to the one that came with it's literally the same one that came with the 1.5. The gun cannon got a slightly upgraded version of this, But to finish out the core fighter, we do need to give it its landing gear. I've been building too long. I'm getting my cutting tools backwards. Looking good. Now it's ready to stay here, where it'll stay on display since there's no way to really display it in air, and we have a core block for putting inside of the Gundam. So, get to that. Okay, and then just gotta get the generic pilot here. Pilot goes into this very basic attempt at molding a seat there, and is then entombed into the core block with this to cap it off. And your core block with the pilot chilling inside there. Very minimal implication of the cockpit there surrounding him. No glass, nothing fancy like that. Let's get to our accessories here and then call it a wrap. Oh, that's it for Runner D here. All the parts on that are now gone. Only a little crunchy there. And then our handle on the back, we got a shield here, which actually, where did the clear part go? There it is. Almost forgot the clear part there, which just very simply plugs into the back like this. Okay, shield done. Next up, I'll just get the beam sabers out of the way here. All that's left on this runner now is the standing pilot figure, where he will stay for the time being. So we're going to call that runner done while I get the beam sabers to put together here. Okay, and it looks like there is a bit of a tooth here to make sure you have it lined up right. Also helps disguise that seam as a bit of detail, which is appreciated. Beam saber handles done. I will not be putting the beams in there anytime soon. Which, now that I think of it, I won't be putting the yellow lens into my beam rifle, since once you put it in there, you can't get it out. I'm going to just call this runner done while we start on said beam rifle. Nope, that is not a nub. I do not want to cut that. The scope only goes as high as here and as low as there. It's limited by a little track there. And then you get the tip. So obviously leaving the scope out, there's no way to get that out of there once you put it in there. Otherwise, we do have the finished beam rifle with its additional hook for storing on the side skirts. Let's get the bazooka together and then move on to the last page. Also want to point out, always like it when the edge of the runner is the part. I don't know why, that's just always so funny to me. Bulk of the bazooka is just these two pieces here with a couple of extra frills. Last little bit here is whatever this bar on the hyper bazooka is meant to be. Never quite understood what this is there for. And there we go. That's the last accessory. Now all we have to do is get the historical nubs off of the instruction book to start. The last thing that needs to be built is the backpack here. So I'll get on with that here. Of course, gotta have your sub-assemblies, don't you? It would appear I have actually missed a part here, but now we can call C done here. And I do believe I know where that part was intended to go. Let me clean that one up first to start. I do believe it was, yep, it was the back of the neck here, which now that I have the collar on is going to be a tad difficult to get on its own. Let me see if I can't. Well, that yellow piece is on there pretty good. I will fix that at some time later, as I just need to get this finished at this point. I will fix that eventually here, just cannot do it at this time. Backpack is one of the other places that does, technically speaking, have an inner frame with one polycap that goes in there. The round part on the inside like so. We get these pieces which go into here that go for our beam saber handles. Clip these in, which it's proving to be a little tough to do so. Oh, wow. very tough to do so. Those are in there good. Miracle nothing broke while I did that. That was very, very robust. So you just slide on top of Hugh. This goes back here. And the last parts I need to cut are the side skirts, which I will be leaving the heavy user parts as well as the molded V-fin on this runner. But that will call that the end of cutting parts for my session here. Get you guys taken care of. Set this off to the side. Alright, let's get the whole thing put together here, minus the poor little back neck cap that I had neglected to put on. But head, shoulders, and then not knees and toes, but arms, come on, there you go. Okay, and then for the lower half, hips go into their ball sockets, close you up with the side skirts. Come on, get in there. Pop the core fighter in up top. That is a very firm grip that the core fighter has on the base there. And just need to put in the beam sabers. Where did the other one go? There it is. To complete the silhouette. And there we go. We have the first ever master grade fully assembled here. I will do some discussion of first impressions and just what I kind of thought about building it here, but that'll be a separate recording session. I am approaching almost the 3-hour mark in terms of raw footage here, which granted included me unboxing it in my intro, but this wasn't a quick build by any means, but it also wasn't an insanely long one. But yeah, if you see a continuity error between this shot and the next one, that would be why. Alright, now that I have this all cleared out, I can now take a moment to just discuss first impressions of the kit as well as what I kind of thought about the build. If the commentary I was giving during the build itself didn't give it away, I don't dislike the simplicity of it. I feel like the final product you get is very well stylized. I actually really like the more angular look that this design has compared to more traditional offerings, I guess you could say. The major downside for me, though, definitely is the way that the eyes kind of have that effect of looking a little like too tall, I suppose, because of the way the head sits. But I suppose before I kit this gentleman out with his equipment, let me try doing the open hatch gimmick just so I can see it in full force for myself as well as demonstrate it for you guys. Basically, you pop out the top half of the top portion of the head. The same tab that held it in there now has a separate hole back here. Pop that in like so. Arms swing out as such. A little hard to get a grip on them. They're actually quite flush to the arms. Those panels are, I mean. And then the last thing would be to open the calf panels, which, as you no doubt saw during my build, this one is having issues for reasons I have not been able to figure out as of yet. It will not open any further than that, but I think that gets the point across. Very simple stuff. This is the kind of thing that I think Bandai really made the better choice to pivot towards having perfect grades do that, since you have more real estate to make panels like this. A lot easier to make them because they don't have to be as small, because as we saw in the instructions, this does not cover all of the things that it shows opening. They have panel lines for a few of the things that open, but they're like the shins here. These are just panel lines, they're not separate pieces. But yeah, the lack of an inner frame, not a deal breaker for me. I honestly picked this kit up because Not because I was expecting a great build, a great poser. I liked the aesthetics of it, and seeing it in person still reinforces that to me, that I do really enjoy the style choices that they made when they were designing this first Master Grade as a proper reinterpretation of the RX-78. It's kind of hard to explain. I guess, like I said, I like the angular look that it has with the slanting lines going up the shoulders, the skirts, and just the general proportions I think are pretty good. I actually am a fan of these older Master Grades with their big feet and big heads and little shoulders. It's a unique look for sure, and obviously more modern mecha stylings would be to shrink the feet and the head, make the shoulders bigger. And there's nothing wrong with that. I like this more retro styling. I guess the last thing I can do as a first impression here is to dig out the pile of stuff that it comes with and see how well I can get him equipped here, I suppose. At least the hands aren't too hard to fiddle with. I am happy that it has the softer V-fin here. I don't have to worry about risking breaking that. And as for the general stability of the kit, I guess if anybody was curious, I mean, this is a fresh build. I just built it like today. I'm not recording this like that long after I initially made this video. But the only thing that I feel like is kind of loose is the knees, and that's really it. Everything else is nice and robust for now, although I do know polycaps age not the greatest, so we'll see. I guess I'll see more so how well that holds up over time. But oh, interesting. The thumb is very stiff in the hand. I can barely move that thing. Let's see if I can get you to hold. We'll start with the rifle here. Yep, as kind of I expected, because it's very similar to the 1.5 of the RX-78, which I do have. I might try to pull it out of storage for some B-roll footage for this video if I can get the energy to do so. But the main issue that these posable hands have is that the beam rifle has the angled handle, which, I mean, it's a nice design. It really does look nice, like, for the rifle itself, but that means that the hand is going to struggle to hold it, because the hands really only fit like things that are like vertical. So I can get it to hold it somewhat stably here, but as you can see, it's like kind of offset there, and the wrist just doesn't have enough articulation to really get that in place. Let's see if the shield fares any better. I do know that the shield in the MG 1.5 is very similar to this, and I remember not having a great experience attempting to pose with that. And as you can no doubt see just now, I don't think there's any other way I can really lock this down. Okay, if you get the thumb in an awkward position, it does kind of hold it there, but this peg, this extra long peg it has in there, which is for storing it on the backpack, does really hamper what you're able to realistically do with that shield, and the lack of proper, like, full arm bends stuck at 90 degrees means the rifle's a little hard to pose with. Although the one last thing I'm curious about experimenting with here is the panel for the bazooka, which I highlighted during the build here. Fold that out like so. How well do you hold the bazooka? Get the verniers out of the way. Am I doing this right? No, that's where it's supposed to go. That, like, doesn't do much of anything. You gotta fold the verniers down to even have a chance of holding it in. So I guess if you rest it there and then just stand him up, that won't really have a whole lot of issues doing that. But yeah, it's not great. So, I mean, this kit, like I said, I didn't get it expecting it to be a great poser, to be able to, I wasn't expecting a super intricate build. I knew exactly what I was getting when I bought this, and I'm still happy that I got it. Honestly, it's just a surreal feeling seeing it in front of me as something that I've mainly seen through the odd YouTube video, looking up pictures on Dalong. It's just a fun experience for someone like me who loves to research kits before buying them, and then you go from that experience of something on a screen to something right in front of you. It's magical, I guess you could say. if I want to be a little cliche like that. I'm gonna try one last thing to try and get the rifle held in a natural way. Okay, you know, with how the fingers are currently, it's not doing a terrible job of holding it. Not doing a great job of holding it, but not a terrible job. I'm gonna see. Well, like you see the handle, you just have these 3 pegs as options. I honestly think the middle one is the best one for shield poses. But yeah, so these decals, won't be applying these anytime soon. Like I was saying throughout the video, my attempt is to put on those parts you need to glue on, the heavy user parts, do a bit of painting work to things like the pistons in the feet that need paint. I do also believe that these sections back here need to be painted as well to match the gray part of the inner knee. Otherwise, and then obviously the missing colors for the cameras and the eyes. That'll be at a later date, hopefully sometime later this year, if all things go well for me, like in my personal life and whatnot. So I'm gonna try one last time to fit the shield into the hand here. Or wait, I think I have that in there upside down. Maybe that's why it's not holding it right. I think it's actually supposed to be facing this direction. Let's see here. Maybe if I pop the hand out and then try to get it a grip around there. Oop, almost. I think that's actually the play though, is to do it like this first. Okay, that's a little better now that I actually have the handle facing the right direction. But yeah, so overall, a very fun experience building the first ever Master Grade. It's really nice to have it in my collection as a big fan of Master Grades myself. I hope you enjoyed this video, as it was certainly quite an experience for me to make it. I'm honestly not sure if I'll make any more videos like this, but if you folks like this kind of build and then first impressions kind of thing like this, I will certainly consider doing it for future kits that I want to add to my collection. Otherwise, I hope you have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you. I'll see you guys in the next video.